Hey Dad, it's January 9th, 2022. This will be the first of a couple that we'll do of the Camaro and what it's the state, what it is. This one we're going to focus on the body. So this is a 1971 Camaro. It's got the Z28 badges on it that you'll see around. Technically it's not a Z28. But let's kind of go through the condition of what it is and what I was looking at when I was purchasing it. So in this version we've also got it's got the standard the standard Camaro badge work on it. It does have the normal grille. It's got the Z28 badge, which is not correct, which is that guy right there. You'll just see. Then looking through, it doesn't have, some of the other versions will have, you'll see a double little bit of a second lights in the front there. So somewhere about there you'll see lights come into it. But so then underneath it's in pretty good nick. It's pretty oily and stuff underneath here, but we'll focus on the grille. So I've just done the replacements of the two front headlights to try and get it closer to working. It's got a standard hood on it, hasn't been cut or anything like that for one of the hood cowls into it. It's had the Z28 mags, which are like the dragway mags in Australia, put into it. So again, they've got the Z28 mags and stuff. I believe that they're replicas. I don't believe that they're traditional, but we can figure that one out when we pull it off. So then going down the right hand side of the car, again it does have, and you'll see it here, a lot of clear coat has worn off, and then it started to take off. The silver paint's gone down to a that's not metal, that's just down to like a grey undercoat at the moment. So it's missing trims, some of the trims on it. Other areas that tend to rust out really bad, which we'll get into, is somewhere down here. There's the VIN number for it. The windscreen does have a crack in it, but I'm not too phased about that at this point in time. It doesn't look to be excessively bubbling along the trim strips. It does have the side mirrors on it, which are traditional for it. Then the other big ones that they really do, they love to rust out again, normally along the inner fender is in place. She looks pretty good inside it. I'll show you in there. This is the, you may not be able to see it, but inside there it's got the little double grooves or grooves for that looks like the Delco discs and calipers. Again, underneath and down in the side here you'll see some areas that some of it's starting to, it still looks like good metal, starting to rust a little bit. We'll get down to it. The bottom of the corner of the doors and along the edges of it are pretty good. Doors open and close fine. They're definitely heavy, but you've got to slam them to get them closed. A lot of the rubber's all perished away. It does look like it's 50-year-old rubber. Again, in the doors there's a little bit of rust down in the bottom corners there, just to kind of point out. So some of the rocker plate will need to be replaced along the journey. Back wheels, let's come around to the back. Again, you can kind of see a little bit of the paintwork has started to fade in, and those little crazy cracks on it. You can kind of really see the thing. It's got a Z28 spoiler on the back. It's definitely got some rust bubbles in the back, which is very typical for them to rust out in this rear quarter panel here. You can see that it's starting to flake a little bit of paintwork and everything off of it. Doesn't feel too bad in there, but definitely the inner rocker's got a little bit of rust and bubbles in it. Coming down the back, Again, it doesn't look too bad underneath. Been quite oily along the way. Doesn't look like it's had any modifications on the rear suspension. I think the other big one where they love to rust is along this back window glass area, which is very typical for them. So this one hasn't been rotted out too bad. Sometimes they get really rotted out in here, and you've got to do a full replacement of the back cowl, so sometimes that gets quite difficult to do. But in this one it looks pretty good. I believe that they've added this piece on down the track, so it might have some rust or something underneath there. There's some screws. I'm not too sure if they're traditional for it. The other one is the back trunk has definitely got some holes in it. You can kind of see some holes, and you can see some light. Even down in here you can see definitely some holes. And they've done a coating on it, which is actually tried to keep it quite good, in quite good condition. And then the other one that they love to rust out in is in this back drip pan. So he's put some coat or some rust stop. You can also see that it's had a bit of bog and bodywork filler been put into these to try and like that. So potentially there's quite a little bit of rust down in here. Again, these are just a fiberglass panel that goes over them. And then this is what it looks like from the rear. Close the lid. The rear trunk doesn't look too bad on it. Bumper's in fair condition. There's a bit of rust on it. And then it's come down the other side again. You can see the clear coats going on it. Again, a little bits of rust. You can also see there's probably where they joined the quarter panel, where they cut it to replace it. So again, need to get into there. It's got the dragways, a little bit of rust down and inside, in the little bit of the framework there. You can see rubber's old, but he had fatter tires on it. The guy said that he was had changed them out because they were actually rubbing on the sway bar on the inside. Again, a little bit of work, potentially work down in the bottom corners here. You can see it crazy cracking that they've done some body fill on it. But it's all there. The gap work on it looks actually pretty good along the way, and that's what I was really looking for, to see if panels had been changed. Again, you can see a little bit of rust down in there, so to see if the panels had been replaced or aftermarket panels had been put in. By my looks, it hasn't had too many replacement panels put into it, and that's just by looking at the everything. The hood's never been cut or modified by the looks of it. Looks like it's got aftermarket chrome hinges on them. They're not the greatest. They're a little bit wobbly. I don't think they're super strong. They're a little bit probably cheap. But then looking a lot of times down in amongst these areas here, these look like they're still original. 1, 2, and like kind of 3 pieces that they're built in. It's a lot of times they'll change the whole front end to a fiberglass front end. This one's not. This one's still original. This is metal, and this is metal. There is a bit of rust in the back sides of these grooves, and again, we'll figure that one out when we start to pull it apart. It does have the kind of the Z28 stripes that's been painted on it. And you can see a lot of the paintwork is just had weathered too much on it. So that's just a quick look through the outside of the car. It's in pretty good condition. It does have the 350 5.7 litre V8 engine in it. So the buddy had built it back in, I think he said 95 was built. It was built to what they call an LT1 spec, which is still a 350 Chev LT1. It's an iron block. It's meant to be at about 360 horsepower is what they build them to, which is a fairly standard performance 350, which is I think still more performance than this vehicle came out with. I think it only came out with and I'm sure 100 and just under 200 horsepower. The brake boosters we're going to replace out. You can kind of see there that it's missing its vacuum line coming along. So it's got a Edelbrock, I'm not too sure of the model at this point in time, but it's a 2-barrel carburetor, and then it's had the ignition, like electronic ignition, all replaced with the big distributor cap, and then the big spark producer. And that then also feeds into a tachometer that's on the inside of it. But everything looks pretty good down in here. Looking mainly at the joints and the ball joints, and they're all old perished rubber. But again, looking around inside of it, it's been a pretty well kept. It hasn't had like big rust holes in it. The inner fenders are still in really good shape. Front end looks to be quite good. Headers and exhaust are all well and truly rusted along the way. And again, just looking at different joints and rubbers that are in the front, it really doesn't look like it's been changed too much. It looks like it's just got that oily road grime that's just been left over on it. And then you can kind of see down in the back of the panels. Everything just looks solid. Definitely a few wiring issues. Someone's been a little bit creative on the wiring. I've had to fix the lights. The horns aren't going to be working. They don't seem to work at all. Then there's been a lot of wiring done to add a stereo system into it, but then there's also been a lot of work that's been done to do the electronic ignition. So this is the dash. Just looking through it, it's basically like a wood panel, but it's all curved along the way. The light has been taken out, it's just hanging low. There's been some extra gauges being put down the bottom. This is where I've been trying to get to my fuse box and trying to get everything in. The interior is still in okay condition for the year. It's not perfect in any way. I'm still trying to figure out if these are original seats, or at least original to the year or the era of them. They do have the plastic backs on them. Some of them that I do see don't have these plastic backs. I just don't know whether they're a later model on it. It's still got the original GM seat belts, which is quite funny. It's got the side sash, and then it's also got an additional one that you can see down here. It's got like a lap sash, but it's so old and the plastic's gone so hard and brittle that if you would even do it up, it'd probably basically cut off your circulation in it. So what it is, steering wheel's been replaced. It's a 2-speed power glide is what's been put behind it. And then all the trim looks as per original. The dash hasn't weathered too bad. Normally they crack up a lot, but you can see it's kind of done a bit of a flare up there. You can kind of see the flare up there on it. That the heat and that has just rolled it up. But overall, I'm happy with it. I'll get it spun around and we'll get it onto the hoist to have a look at it, have a look underneath it, and kind of give you some show of what's going on. And then we'll start getting into what we're going to do with it this summer and try and get it on the road basically, and then we'll try and get it upgraded, start doing some performance and some handling upgrades. Alright, cool. Thanks for watching.